Hello aspirants, this is me Yasmin Gill presenting to you the PIB highlights of 1st of Feb. So do follow all these videos on this particular link, plus you can also rate and review the course. So let's begin. Firstly, due to budget, we'll be having a lot many highlights. So I'll be leaving first 2-3 slides which are very self-explanatory to your disposal. So firstly, we have under history culture section, we have Udyanotsav, do it yourself. Then we have under society related issues, IIIT bill, you can do it yourself. Then third is polity and governance, we have DRPG Seva. So just do it also by yourself. Beginning with economics, firstly we have Union Budget 2017. So three main factors are the distinguishing factors of this year's budget. One is the advance presentation, that is approximately 1 month in advance. Then we have merger of rail budget and the general budget. And thirdly, we have that the current year's budget doesn't have a separate plan and non-plan classification. So this is how this budget is distinguished. Other than that, what are the provisions under it? One by one under different headings, we'll be studying them. So firstly, we have direct tax proposal. Under direct tax proposal, the MAT, that is minimum alternate tax or alternate minimum tax, the credit for it has been increased from 10 years to 15 years. Corporate income tax, which was asked to be or actually proposed to be reduced in the last budget as well. So it has been reduced from 30 to 25% for companies with turnover up to 50 crore. Plus, startups have been given a sort of income tax holiday. So there are more relaxations proposed regarding the same. Next, we have in this particular year's budget, we have a separate outcome budget as well. This is very important because budgeting as such is a topic in mains as well. So outcome budget is a technique of budgeting whereby different ministries will be actually undertaking their own budget proposals, plus simultaneously outcomes would be marked out. Okay, we want this via this much amount of allocation. This is the outcome proposed. So do study about outcome budget also. This is the first time that a consolidated outcome budget is also to be presented along with general budget. Then we have revenue deficit and fiscal deficit targets, which you can do by yourself. Lastly, overall the approach of budget is to spend more in rural areas, infrastructure and poverty alleviation, but at the same time maintain fiscal prudence in context of FRBM Act. Also, the agenda is transform, energize and clean India, what we refer to as TEC. By transform, it is to transform the quality of governance. By energize, we have to energize the youth and vulnerable section, and by clean India, it's very evident. Next, coming to electoral funding, very important. Government was criticized a lot after demonetization. So electoral funding reforms have been proposed. What are they? Firstly, an individual can donate via cash only up to rupees 2000. Simultaneously, a new provision which will be done by amending RBI Act for electoral bonds. So these sort of electoral bonds can be issued from authorized banks only against check and digital payment. Simultaneously, political parties are supposed to file their income tax return in time limit prescribed. Next, we have ease of doing business. Though there are a lot many measures which you can write upon, here are a few of the ones suggested in the this year's budget. So firstly, individuals and Hindu undivided families are not required to keep their book accounting or account keeping if their turnover is up to 25 lakhs or income is up to 2.5 lakh. Simultaneously, there are certain exemptions proposed for category 1 and category 2 foreign portfolio investors. Plus, there is ease for them as well. How? Because now there will be a common application form for registration, opening of bank and demat accounts and issuance of PAN through one application form only for FPIs. So this is how government is promoting e-biz. Simultaneously, we have certain reforms or certain upgradations in personal income tax. So this sort of numerical data is sometimes asked in state civil service examinations. So what has been the changes? From the slab of 2.5 lakh to 5 lakh, it has been reduced to 5% of tax rather than 10%. Simultaneously, there is a surcharge of 10% on individuals that have an income between 50 lakh to rupees 1 crore. Next, we have the government via its budget has decided to do away with the Foreign Investment Promotion Board in 2017-18. Why? Because maximum of the FDI, that is close to 90% of FDI, is usually done by automatic route, and FIPB usually doesn't have a role to play in it. So we'll be doing away with FIPB to cut down the red tapeism. Then we have the disinvestment thing. So in disinvestment, we saw a model by the name of exchange traded fund, whereby we actually sell a lot many shares of PSUs together. So this exchange traded fund is actually it comprises of shares of 10 public sector units. So this saw a good response last year. So this will be continued this year as well for the disinvestment. Simultaneously, a new ETF, that is exchange trade fund, is promoted, which will be having diversified. It is a lot many different sort of companies and their stocks that will be actually disinvested. Then in the financial sector, we have 3 or 4 measures. Firstly, To promote coordination among various financial sector regulator, government is planning to come up with CERT FIN, that is Computer Emergency Response Team for our financial sector. Then, till now, banks and insurance companies were categorized as qualified institutional buyers, and by this status, that is the status of qualified institutional buyers, they were eligible to participate in initial public offers. But now government is planning, it is proposed, it's not yet done. So government is planning to actually allow the systemically important NBFCs also to be marked up to the status of qualified institutional buyers, so that they can also participate in initial public offers. Then we have SARFAESI Act. So under SARFAESI Act, what will be done now is that the security receipts, they could be even traded on what? Traded on SEBI registered stock exchanges. So how this will help? This will help in cutting down the bank NPAs. Next, we have under agriculture sector, quickly going through it, we have a micro irrigation fund, we have a long-term irrigation fund. Go through the corpus of it. Then we have a model law which government is proposing to come up with on contract farming. This model law can be then emulated or copied by states also. Simultaneously recognizing the potential of dairy processing, there is a separate fund for dairy processing in NABARD. Then we have reorientation of MGNREGA. How? Because now MGNREGA will be used to fulfill the plan of government to actually double the farmers' income. So for example, MGNREGA would be used to come up with a lot many farm ponds. This will help in drought proofing and thus saving the farmer. Next, under agriculture sector, we have pushing of credit towards till now underserviced area. For example, eastern states, Jammu and Kashmir and so on. Already, government in context of demonetization have given a 60-day interest waiver to farmers. Those farmers who borrow from cooperative structure. Just to add to your information, about 40% of small and marginal farmers, they borrow from cooperative structures. In that context, government is planning to support NABARD. For what? So NABARD is actually it is being asked to help in the integration and computerization of the primary agriculture credit societies, so that credit is easily available to the farmers. Also, ENAM, that is National Agriculture Market, will be expanded to more and more of APMCs. Coming to rural areas, one is the MGNREGA itself, which we covered last slide too. Then we have Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana Gramin with a target of 1 crore houses by 2019. Then we have an increased allocation to employment generation program. Simultaneously, we have one-stop centers for Mahila Shakti Kendra by the name of Mahila Shakti Kendras. This will be set up in the Anganwadi centers. Then we have affordable housing has now been given the status of infrastructure. Lastly, Mission Antyodaya. So do mention in the comment section whose philosophy was Antyodaya. So Mission Antyodaya will be done to make 50,000 Gram Panchayats poverty free by 2019. 2019 is the very year whereby we are celebrating 150th birth anniversary of Mahatma Gandhi ji. Next, we have education and skill development. Firstly, Pradhan Mantri Kaushal Kendras to promote skill development. Then 3S based, we have short acronyms, so do not get confused among them. First one is Sankalp. This is to provide market relevant training. Second is Strive. This is to improve the quality of the training given by diploma institutes or ITIs. Third is Swayam. Swayam is for online teaching. Next, we have an innovation fund which will particularly help the educationally backward blocks. Then we have learning outcomes would be codified, which was a big problem in the primary schooling level. Then we have a national testing agency, about which we already did in PIB once before. So national testing agency will be taking away the role of conducting tests from institutes such as CBSE, etc. And this is mainly for higher education based tests. Then at the health sector, we have a big increase in outlay for health budget. Simultaneously, government is targeting to cut down or eliminate certain diseases by certain timelines. New aims have been set up, plus postgraduate seats have been increased, particularly in context of promoting secondary and tertiary healthcare. Regulatory framework is being set up particularly to clean medical education. Lastly, drugs and cosmetic rules will be amended to provide cheap medicines and generic medicines to people. Under railways, though railways has been merged, but still there have been lot many measures proposed for railways as well. Firstly, we have a Rashtriya Rail Sanraksha Kosh. Evident from the name itself, this is a corpus of funds mainly for passenger safety. Then we have a new metro rail policy and a new metro rail act. Both of them to promote innovative models and more of private collaboration. Then we have modernization of the identified corridors, station redevelopment, particularly in context of promoting renewable energy, Swachh rail camping. Then lastly, now on, the shares of railway public sector units will be traded in stock exchanges. So this will help in solving the financial crunch of railways as well. Next, we have under infrastructure and energy. In this particular slide, we'll be covering infrastructure. So in that context, to boost the civil aviation sector, Airport Authority of India, it will be amended to enable the monetization from the land assets of Airport Authority of India. Plus, using PPP mode in the tier 2 cities, we'll be setting up airports. Then we have the BharatNet program, about which you'll be very much aware of it. Optical fiber laying down in 1,50,000 gram panchayat, sorry. Then we have DigiGaon initiative. DigiGaon initiative is primarily to provide telemedicine, teleeducation, etc. Lastly, this is for the disinvestment section. So in disinvestment, now on, time-bound listing of the identified public sector units at stock exchanges will be done, so that disinvestment can happen quickly and at a good pace. Then we have under energy section solar park development. Simultaneously, once we did in PIB that we are coming up with strategic oil reserves, right? So we have set up 3 such oil reserves. Do mention in the comment section where are they located. Now government is trying to come up with 2 more strategic crude oil reserves. One at Bikaner in Rajasthan, another in Chandikol in Odisha. Then we have a new scheme for infrastructure. So you can put this one section in infrastructure. So what is the scheme? TIES, that is Trade Infrastructure for Export scheme. Then we have under energy, reduced custom duty on LNG, that is liquefied natural gas. Lastly, government is planning to increase the coordination among the various oil PSUs by way of coming up with an public sector oil major. Next we have digital economy. So lot much you must have already done in context of demonetization. What are the steps that government has taken to promote digital economy? Certain other steps include doing away with the excise duty on POS, so that home building or domestic production of POS machines can be done. Then we have no transaction above 3 lakh can be permitted in cash. Simultaneously, we have Bheem app, Aadhaar enabled payment system and so on. Then we have overhaul of the payment regulation system in India. So what had happened was, by the recommendation of Department of Economic Affairs, a committee on digital payment was set up. This committee on digital payment asked to propose an amendment to payment and settlement system so as to promote certain structural reforms in the payment and settlement system. In that context, the erstwhile board for regulation and supervision of payment and settlement system will be done away with, and a new thing will be created in RBI. What is that? Payment Regulatory Board. So this is how government is trying to promote digital economy. Then we have on demonetization, government has finally spoken up in budget. So what has it said is that demonetization seeks to create a new normal, which was already said before, but new things being added that GDP via demonetization will be more bigger, more cleaner and more real. Simultaneously, short-term costs but long-term benefits are being sold as the benefit of demonetization. So what are the long-term benefits? Greater digitization, increased flow of financial savings in banks, and lastly, greater formalization of economy. Why? Because mostly the informal sector is the one which works with cash. Lastly, government proposes 3 main transformational achievements. One is demonetization, second GST, the third being Jan Dhan Aadhaar mobile. Next, we have major ports going green. So mostly we are trying to develop renewable energy in the form of solar in the major ports, but it's only 2 ports whereby wind energy will be developed. One is the Kandla port, second is the Chidambaram. So do mention in the comment section where are these ports located. And this is a question for you regarding universal basic income. Do attempt it as well. So these were the MCQs which were asked in today's session. One is related to UN Resolution 2231. Another is for oil spills, and the third one, okay, there are just 2 of them today. So friends, that's it for today. In case you find the initiative useful, do not forget to rate and review the same. Thank you so much.